Rosareres, and I'm here with Jean-Paul Lammens, CMO of Grupo Lamfer, with 25 years in the pharmaceutical industry in Guatemala. Based on your background, I'm curious to know your previous work and how did you land at your job as CMO in Grupo Lamfer?
Of course, I started studying marketing and then I went to do a master's in Belgium in marketing and digital transformation where I started working for a software company that gave out opinions and AI to other companies in the pharmaceutical industry. That company, the name is Quartz, and it just got bought by a Danish pharmaceutical company that needed help on their prescription medications, and it helped them become a better company in the future. And I went back to Guatemala and started working for Grupo Lamfer as the CMO.
Based on what we talked about, I know the pharmaceutical marketing is different from traditional marketing, and I want to know how and what unique challenges you have with it.
So pharmaceutical marketing differs from traditional marketing in the sense that our customers are basically doctors. We focus only on doctors, and the industry itself is only for doctors. Since doctors prescribe the medicines that you take, the consumers really don't mind that at all. So the doctor has to prescribe the actual medicine, and that's why we're only interested in targeting doctors. And we do this in several ways. Like you can go as a representative, as a sales rep, or you can target them online.
And what about the customers? Do you still care about the customers itself, or just leave them to the doctors?
The customer themselves, we do care about them. Like, we do have a fan page for our products, but you as a customer, when you take your medicine, do you listen to what the doctor has to say, or do you listen what a pharmaceutical has to say? I think the doctor recommends what medicine you're buying, so that's why the importance of a doctor and a doctor's opinion on a medicine is of high importance.
Okay, so I say that it's the doctor. So in pharmaceutical, you get to the health provider. What strategies do you use to have an effective marketing with them?
It's mainly a push strategy. So we get out as many samples as we can to them, and we also use telemarketing. Telemarketing is a very important tool for us because it helps us retain a doctor, helps us know when the sales rep hasn't visited or anything. Right now, we're implementing a technology with Salesforce that allows us to see how many times the doctor has prescribed certain medicine and how loyal is he to our company. That is the main strategy right now, transforming that it was like non-digital at all to a completely digital world where we can see how many prescriptions is a doctor giving out to their patients and how many of them are from us.
So we hear about the FDA a lot. So I want to know how those bodies of entities affect in Guatemala, because I know it's different in the United States than it is in Guatemala, and how different it is for you, and what are the challenges in the marketing world in the pharmaceutical.
Okay, yeah, so the FDA in Guatemala, it's the health ministry, Ministerio de Salud. You cannot do any publicity on any prescription medication. Like here in the United States, you can actually do publicity, like ask your doctor or talk to your doctor about whatever antibiotic or anti-seizure medication. In Guatemala, it's not allowed. You can only do advertising on OTC medication, like flu medicine, something for the cold, something for your headache, but that's about it.
So it is a limit, like
there is a complete limit, and it's the model of the Guatemalan market is very similar to Europe. So in Europe, you cannot do any advertising on medicines at all. In Guatemala, you're limited to only OTC. It's just very restricted on what you can do. So we let the doctors take care of that. That's why it's important for us that doctors know our name via sales rep and traditional marketing.
So the world right now is shifting, and as you said, we are going from a more traditional to a online platform and everything, yes. And social media is growing. How is that affecting the strategies right now and in 5 years, you think, in the pharmaceutical industry?
So right now, the social media has a huge presence on a lot of industries, and the pharmaceutical industry is not out of it. Right now, we are thanking our followers and trying to get them to learn about the medications, especially OTC, since other medication, harder stuff like neurological and antibiotics is not allowed, even on social media. You have to be really careful on what you post, on how you post, and who you target, because people might get addicted to certain types of medication. So in 5 years, the strategy has to remain kind of the same because of the regulations, but there is going to be a complete transition into digital. Like, there's now being developed like a social network for doctors and pharmaceuticals to interact. LinkedIn is being used for that a lot, but in 5 year time, I think there's going to be something of that amplitude, like LinkedIn, but only for doctors and pharmaceuticals, like a social media for that. Since the consumer cannot be trusted completely because of addiction, because of of many other factors, we have to keep on with doctors that have a regulating body and they have ethics committees, so they are the ones that have to prescribe the medicine. And that's the most important part of this. Like, social media is growing the pharmaceutical industry, but not at the rate of a consumer goods industry.
Going back to what we lived and we are still living, how COVID-19 pandemic has impacted your company's marketing strategy? Do you think it has had a shift or
it had a huge impact. It had a huge impact. We were a company that only focused on purely traditional marketing. No online presence, no social media. During 2020, we shifted completely to social media because there were no sales reps allowed in the doctor's office. So that gave us like a little bit of think around on how can we better target our clients, our doctors, how can we stay in touch with them if we cannot see them. It gave us some ideas on cleaning their offices and disinfecting them to keep the traditional marketing alive and the brand in their heads. That's a good branding strategy. But what really resonated with doctors were Zoom calls and webinars and just things to stay informed that were paid by the company. That was the main source of like advancement we had as a company and the main growth that we got out of the pandemic. The sales growth was big because of a global pandemic, but the marketing growth came out of that transition from going full digital and doing webinars and having doctors really get into them and feel like they're important because they're receiving vital information without any costs.
I want to know if you can share an example of a marketing strategy you are using right now or you have used that differs for the pharmaceutical industry. This is something we only use here and that you've been using.
Yes, of course. For reasons that are of NDAs, I cannot give you current marketing strategies. But during 2022, last year, we started doing more sales rep visits since the country and Central America started opening more and more. We started doing more visits and we started mixing and matching webinars and Zoom calls with doctors with sales rep visits. And that gave us an increase on loyalty, an increase on sales, an increase on branding of about 15% compared to 2020.
Oh, wow.
Which was one of the best strategies that we have applied and gave me the job that I currently have.
Thank you, Jean-Paul, for giving us your time. To finish this, I just want to know if you have any advice to the future marketers in the pharmaceutical industry, but also outside of it?
My main advice is to actually learn as much as you can in numbers and in data analysis, data analytics, Power BI, Salesforce, whatever you can, whatever free course on LinkedIn that you can get, since it would give you an advantage over any other company. And right now, marketing, you may see it as creative, but the data analytic marketing is dominating not only the pharmaceutical industry, but almost every industry.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.